ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Divisional Round Overtime. Packers, Niners, this felt like old times. For people of my age bracket, my age range, this felt like the good old days of Favre and Young, when they used to go at it in the mud at Candlestick. This felt like good old-fashioned Packers 49ers playoff ball. Rain out there, which I didn't account for. A couple of things I didn't account for. And I was talking to my guy, Derek B, about the 49ers. And I said, we were talking about the difference between Dallas and, Philadelphia and these 49ers. And, the biggest difference I told him was the 49ers have mental toughness, something that the Eagles and the Cowboys both lack. But I said, one thing I can assure you, if anything happens to Deebo Samuel or Trent Williams, they could be in some trouble. God forbid something happened to both of them. And he added in, or Christian McCaffrey. And I'm like, you're not wrong, but I've seen them win without Christian McCaffrey and lesser backs. McCaffrey's such a big part of what they do. However, we saw that again tonight. But you don't have Deebo Samuel, you don't have Trent Williams. It changes the physicality and it changes the nature of what this 49ers team can be. Because they can beat you with physicality, they can beat you with finesse. They like to play with a little of both. You lose Deebo, you lose Trent, you no longer have the ability to beat anybody physically. You have to win with finesse. You weren't going to finesse anybody in a game like tonight. You were going to have to be physical. It was wet, it was nasty, and you're going to have to find a way to grind it out. This was a fun one. This one made up for all of the trash that we've sat through for this postseason. Okay, we've gone now through 8 games this postseason, and we've only had 2 games be even remotely competitive in the fourth quarter. So this one made up for a lot of the funk that we've had to endure this postseason thus far. And I'll also take it a step further and point this out. This was the first game of the postseason thus far. The previous 7, the team that scored first has won the football game. Packers scored first tonight on a field goal. They lost the game. It's the first time a team has scored first this postseason and not won the game. Teams were 6-0 in wild card weekend when scoring first. Obviously, the Ravens scored first in the first game earlier today. They won. Packers scored first again for the second consecutive week, except this time it wasn't a touchdown and they did not win the game. Now, let's get to the 49ers. 49ers survive in advance. That's the name of the game. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be aesthetically pleasing, okay? It just needs to be gritty. Doesn't have to be pretty, but most importantly, just needs to be a dubski. And they got it done. They're moving on to the NFC Championship game, where they await the winner of Bucks Lions. We kind of feel like we know what's going to happen there, but expect the unexpected this time of the year. So let's start with the 49ers and how this game ended up being 24-21, a victory in their favor, and why it came down to the very bitter end and how they almost blew this football game. Honestly, they had no business winning this game. Okay, let's keep it a buck. I was talking to somebody on socials and I said, if the Packers lose this game, they have no one to blame but themselves. We'll cover that wall to wall when we get to Green Bay. I want to start with this conversation because there's been a lot made of Brock Purdy in particular. Cam Newton made a comment calling him, along with Dak Prescott and Goff and Tua Tagovailoa, game managers. And as we've seen, all of the guys that he named essentially other than Jared Goff and Brock Purdy. I think he named Jared Goff. I think. But all of the guys that he named have been eliminated from the playoffs. And Brock Purdy is a guy that plays in a very quarterback-friendly system, but I don't think he's a game manager. Unlike the other guys that Cam Newton named, Brock Purdy can extend with his legs and make things happen. We saw it on the final drive with him using his legs to get it down inside the 10-yard line, down to about the 6 or so, roughly. The one play before the Christian McCaffrey game-winning score. And then we saw it on the George Kittle touchdown, him escaping the pocket, extending, and making a big-time throw outside the pocket. Game managers don't do that. Jared Goff doesn't do that. Tua doesn't do that. Okay? Anyway, for about roughly 50 minutes of this game, Brock Purdy played like the inside of a musty asshole. Pause. He was awful and he stunk. A wise man used to say back in the day, when we didn't play well or we made excuses, excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got one. And they all stink. Well, Brock Purdy stunk for the vast majority of tonight's football game. He was awful. Okay? He should have been picked off at least twice, probably 3 times tonight. And I'm not joking. I'm not being facetious. I'm not understating that. I'm being dead ass. However, and this is what I love. This is why I love Joe Flacco, right? My guy. When the game was on the line, Brock Purdy was at his best. When his team needed him the most, he went out and put out his best drive of the game. And if not for a George Kittle drop, he would have been perfect on that drive. He was pinpoint accurate. He was his most decisive. The ball came out in rhythm and timing. His best throw in terms of rhythm and timing was the throw to Conley on the sidelines. I hadn't seen a throw like that performed by the 49ers and Brock Purdy all evening long. His best throw of his career. And he's made some throws in his career, some dimes. The best throw of his career is that throw over the middle of the field to Jawan Jennings. How the hell did he get that football in there? Are you kidding me? The balls, the gumption, the stones it takes to make that throw? What? That's the best throw of his career, not the best throw of the season. That's the best throw of Brock Purdy's career in the biggest spot of his life. Okay? That was on a 3rd down. Had to have it. He was outstanding on that final drive. When they had to have it, he provided his best play of the night. It was not a great virtuoso performance from him, but when they needed him the most, he played his best ball. And that's what the good ones do. You're not going to play well every single night. And you know what's funny is a lot of people laugh and scoff when we talk about other grown men's hand size. Man, this is some gay shit. We talk about it for a reason, because in games like tonight, that's when the shit shows up. Guys with big hands, pause. Again, I don't love talking about other grown men's hands and their sizes, right? I don't love talking about it, but this is when it matters. In games like tonight, a guy with a massive hand doesn't have any issues gripping a football in inclement weather. It doesn't bother him. This is the shit. Remember at the Senior Bowl back in 2022 when every quarterback was awful and Kenny Pickett had on 2 gloves and we were calling him Kenny 2 gloves and he struggled to throw the football? He couldn't grip the bitch. His hands are so damn small. And every quarterback there struggled in the rain because none of them had exceedingly large hands. Again, I don't like talking about other grown man's hands, but this is when it comes into play. Brock Purdy struggled largely in part because the ball was soaking wet tonight and he couldn't grip it. We saw him trying to wipe his hands off mid-play on a pass that was nowhere close. Now, I think there was a miscommunication. He thought that Ray McLeod should have kept it up the seam. He threw it up the seam. McLeod took it out to the corner. I think it was a miscommunication. You saw him screaming, "What are you doing?" I think there was a miscommunication. You saw him talking on the sidelines. Ray McLeod was trying to explain why he did what he did. Purdy was, trying to tell him where he was coming from. They ironed it out, but that pass wasn't close. And a lot of his passes sailed on him tonight. There was some decision like the first one that should have been picked off by Darnell Savage, who would have had a pick six on that play had he caught it, his second in as many weeks. That was a poor decision. That had nothing to do with a wet ball or small hand size or none of that shit. That was just a poor ass decision that he should have paid for. He got away with it. Wasn't a good performance by Brock Purdy. But what it was a mentally tough performance by Brock Purdy. Some of the quarterbacks that are held in high regard in this league, they wilt under the pressure of that particular moment. Because in that particular moment, your best is required. And if you don't give it to me, we're not going to win the game. There are a lot of quarterbacks that struggle in those types of moments. Brock Purdy did not fold when his team needed him the most, and you must give him credit for that. It was not a great night. He struggled for much of it, but when it was required, he gave them his best. And he got them in the end zone and on to the NFC Championship game. Christian McCaffrey is what we thought he was, continues to be. He's going to be the offensive player of the year in the NFL, and he should be. He was spectacular. Had the big touchdown run at a time when they desperately needed it. Down 13-7, they were reeling. And Purdy wasn't in the position at that point from a confidence standpoint. He wasn't in the proper mindset to go down and respond immediately. They needed somebody to step up, and McCaffrey did. He was huge tonight. And there wasn't a lot of space. They did a really good job of tackling him out in space for the most part, other than the big run for the touchdown. When he caught passes out in space, they made sure they got him on the ground. They really limited his explosiveness other than the big run, as I mentioned. But when he had to have it, he got it done. Big run, also the game-winning score, 2 touchdowns from McCaffrey. He is who he is, right? One of the best all-purpose backs the league has ever seen. But specifically right now, he's without a doubt the best all-purpose back in the NFL. I want to talk about Jauan Jennings because I was just talking to Commanders fans about that particular pick. 7th round out of Tennessee. They traded Eli Harold to the Detroit Lions for a conditional 7th round pick that turned into Jauan Jennings. And I said, this guy has been a lifesaver for the 49ers. I could not have imagined that he would play as big a role as he played tonight, because he was the best receiver on the field for the 49ers tonight. And that is not saying that Brandon Ayuk wasn't good, because that catch, the 2 catches that Ayuk made in the 4th quarter, the one where he had to literally go down and catch it down by his shins. Again, Purdy was ass for much of the night, okay? That was not a good throw. He was wide open, and he had to reach not only behind him, but down, and he caught it. Like Greg Olsen said, if you've never played receiver, it's hard to adjust when you're running full speed in the opposite direction of where the ball is going, and reach back and adjust to it and catch it without breaking stride, which is what he did on that play. Tremendous play by Ayuk there. And then the diving catch, that's another 3rd down dime. Again, when they had to have it, Purdy was at his best. That's a 3rd down dime to Brandon Ayuk. I mean, that's sticky coverage. Sticky coverage. That ball couldn't have been anywhere else. That's a hell of a catch. But on this night, 15 was the man, Jauan Jennings. And I would venture to say that he led them, and I'm actually curious. I would venture to say that he led them in receiving in this game tonight. Jauan Jennings did. Let's see. Nope, Kittle had the big 32-yarder, and then Kittle had the other big catch and run. So Kittle had 4 catches, 81 yards. Jennings had 5 catches for 61 yards, though, and he was second on the team in receiving. McCaffrey had the most catches with 7 for 30, but, I mean, those were all checkdowns for the most part. Jauan Jennings was huge tonight. I wonder, he had the one target where it went over his hands that should have been picked off. I'm about to say, I wonder if he had any targets that he didn't catch. I think he had 6 targets, 5 catches. That's my guess. Yep, 6 targets, 5. And that's the one that was, and he's a big guy. And that one was thrown so high that he couldn't get his mitts on it. But he was huge for them tonight. That catch over the middle on that possession where he gets rocked in the back on third, I mean, that is a monster grab. Hell of a throw. That's, like I said, that's the best throw I've seen Brock Purdy make in his career. But Jauan Jennings was huge. I said this about, let me say this before I move to the defensive side of football. This was a must-win game for Kyle Shanahan. Next week will be a must-win game for Kyle Shanahan. Now, if they don't win the Super Bowl, 49ers fans will be upset, but he'll get some grace, right? Because this feels like a Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens type of season. I think we're going to get a rematch of that 2012 Super Bowl with the Ravens and the 49ers the last time the Ravens won the Super Bowl. This feels like a Lamar Jackson type season. This feels like a Ravens season. We'll see what happens. But he's got to make it to the Super Bowl. Had they lost this game, there's no Kyle Shanahan being in danger of being fired or anything like that. That ship has sailed. Kyle and John Lynch are made men in San Francisco for the next decade, it feels like. But people would have been on his ass. The narrative would have started to shift. I am a massive Kyle Shanahan fan. Anybody that knows me knows. This goes all the way back to his time in Washington. I've seen this man do work. I've seen Kyle do work in every single stop. And it started in Houston. Didn't start in Washington with me. It started with Matt Schaub and Calvin and Andre Johnson and Arian Foster. It started there. And I watched him take Matt Schaub and turn him into a 4,000-yard passer every single year and have that Houston Texans offense buzzing every year. So I already knew what he was about. People kept talking about nepotism this and nepotism that when he came to Washington. I was like, you don't know what the hell you talking about. Shut up. All he did was create an offense for Robert Griffin III to have one of the best rookie seasons at that time we had ever seen. That's all he did, was create an offense around his skill set. So I'm a massive Kyle Shanahan fan. I watched him go to Cleveland and had those boys scoring points in Cleveland and start that season off 6-3 in Cleveland with like 8 different quarterbacks. But he has to win. The time for praising Kyle Shanahan for being this offensive mastermind has come and gone. Everybody is well aware of his offensive exploits and how good he is as a play caller and a designer of offense and how he schemes guys open. But he has to win to solidify his legacy. Had he lost this game, this would have been a nasty blemish, a nasty stain on his resume. He had to have this one. Boy, it would have got hot. I would have been uncomfortable for him had he lost this one. Glad that he didn't lose it and we don't have to find out just how hot shit would have gotten for him. because those fans would have been on his ass. The media would have been on his ass. Glad we don't have to find out just how much. Let's go to the defensive side of football, because I'm going to say this. I don't like your defensive coordinator. Of the last 3 coordinators that you've had, 2 of them have gotten jobs. This is the 3rd one in Steve Wilks. I don't think he's aggressive enough. I get it. You've done enormous work this season to put yourself in a position where you shouldn't have to blitz. You shouldn't have to. You added Randy Gregory. You added Chase Young. You already had Nick Bosa. You went out and signed in free agency Javon Hargrave. You have Eric Armstead. You got Javon Kinlaw. You shouldn't have to blitz. I get it. You don't want to do it. But this is the thing that we've been talking about. Well, not the thing that the ones that have been paying attention, okay? The ones that have been watching intently at this, watching this 49ers defense, we've seen this time and time again. They don't get enough pressure on the quarterback with just a 4-man rush. It reminds me, and the reason why I pay attention so intently with great detail, I'm fixated with their defense because it shit reminds me of what has happened in Washington for the last 5 or 6 years, where everybody's talking about this vaunted defensive line that Washington's put together. Oh my God. You can tell the people that don't watch. There's oh man, they've got a hell of a pass rush. And as a fan that watches every single snap, I'm like, the hell we do? We got names that should inspire fear. But if you're actually talking about production, you don't have a single guy on our team that you have to double team. So watching the 49ers with all of this star power on this defensive line, you're thinking you don't have to blitz. We got 4 guys. And it's so good. They got guys that can rotate in and out. They shouldn't even be tired. They shouldn't even be playing an inordinate amount of snaps. They got so much stuff up front. They get to stay fresh. They can't get to the quarterback. How many times was Jordan Love sacked tonight? My guess, I'm going to look it up. My guess, 0. That's my guess. But just to be sure, feel like I've run the game back in my mind already, and I feel confident that he wasn't sacked. But just for shits and giggles, he wasn't sacked in the game. And I didn't think he was sacked in the game because they don't get pressure on the quarterback without blitzing. And I don't really understand why it took him until the final drive of the game to start trying to heat up Jordan Love. Even on the pass interference, if you're going to play that coverage, they look like they were in covered 4. If you're going to play that coverage and still allow somebody to get behind you, like Ambry Thomas was cooked on that play, and Love underthrew that ball significantly, which is why he drew the pass interference. But Ambry Thomas was looking at the ball. I still don't know why he panicked. That ball took forever to get there. He just panicked for no reason. But my thing is, you're not going to get to Jordan Love with 4. Nick Bosa ain't getting there. And you know, the Chase Young thing was it's baffling to me because in Washington, there was a reason to chip him, you know, every so often double him and pay a little attention to him. There's no reason to do that in San Francisco. There's enough dudes on that D line where the last person you're thinking about is 92. So go eat. Go hunt, young fella. We've seen the uptick in Bosa's numbers since Chase Young got there. He just needed some help. Well, he's taking advantage of it. Can't say the same for Chase Young. I ain't seen nothing from Randy Gregory. I'm not just pointing out Chase Young. Randy Gregory ain't busting a grape out there. I didn't hear Javon Hargrave's name called tonight. Like, I didn't hear Eric Armstead's name called tonight. Only time I heard the defensive ends names called tonight was when they were getting blocked by receivers on toss plays. When those receivers were cracking down. The most disappointing thing that I saw from the 49ers tonight, though, because I knew they weren't going to get pressure on Jordan Love, but at least I expected them to get Love and company into a bunch of 3rd and longs because they were going to stop the run. And they let Aaron Jones have success, particularly early in this game and then on the big run that should have set up the field goal to push the distance out, the lead out to 7, right? They gave up 100 yards rushing, and even without the big run, I want to check. I want to check this and see, because, the big run was huge. But even without it, I think he still would have had a very, very solid game, even without the big run. He had 18 carries for 108 yards. You take away the 53-yarder, and that's 55 yards on 17 carries, which isn't great. But it felt like a lot more than that. They were getting to the edges. They were having a ton of success. I would have just kept beating up the edges. There was no reason to run inside. I hated the 4th down call by the Pack. We'll get to that when we get the Green Bay side of things. I'm going to just say this, and then we'll move on. They're going to need better effort from the defensive coordinator moving forward. Steve Wilks is going to have to do a better job of making the opposition's quarterback uncomfortable. Now, if it's the Lions next week, which it should be, you don't have to worry about Jared Goff moving. He's one of the few quarterbacks in the league that can't run, that can't move, that won't move. So from that standpoint, you should be able to feast if you can slow down the run game, get him into 3rd and longs, and make him uncomfortable, because we know Jared Goff isn't going to go anywhere. But he's one of the last of a dying breed. There aren't many in the league that just stand there like a statue. They're going to have trouble with Lamar if they get that far, if the Ravens get that far. They're going to have trouble. Even if it's Baker Mayfield, they could have trouble with him, because Baker's not going to just stand there. You're going to beat them up too if you get them. But you should be going to the Super Bowl, essentially. You just needed to get past Green Bay. But no matter who comes out of the AFC, whether it's Mahomes, whether it's Allen, or it's Jackson, you're going to struggle if you don't do a better job of dialing up some sort, even if it's pseudo pressure. Even if it looks like a blitz, but it's not, they slide protection, and you bring a guy from the opposite side and you only rush 4 or you only rush 5 and you get a free hitter. You got to figure some shit out, though. This shit ain't working. I'm just telling you, this 4-man rush ain't working. And I don't think your run defense was good enough tonight. It was not good enough tonight. But here's where you win the football game. And this is what good defenses do. You bend, but you don't break. You got it done in the red zone. And to me, that's the sign of a good defense. You're going to give up some stuff. We're in the playoffs now. Everybody's good. There are no more bad teams for you to feast on. There's no more bad teams for you to beat up on. Everybody's good now. So expect to give up yards. Expect for teams to touch your red zone. Now what you going to do when they get there? 2 or 5 in the game. And as we mosey on over to the Green Bay Packers side of things, and once again, congratulations to the San Francisco 49ers for advancing to their 4th NFC Championship game in 5 years. This time, they'll be hosting it. Congratulations to them once again. I always talk about this. Those who watch know, right? Those who know. 2 things. If you want to go straight to how a victory or an outcome was achieved, go to 2 stats. Generally, this will tell you all you need to know. Sometimes you can factor in 3rd down efficiency, but that doesn't always tell the story, because you can be efficient on 3rd downs, but still not be efficient when it counts the most. 2 stats: red zone efficiency, turnovers. Want to know why Green Bay lost this game? 2 turnovers in the game. Easily could have been 3 on the fumble kickoff, right? Which that's a hell of a recovery by Eric Wilson. I mean, what the F, bro? You know how many times I've seen dudes try to do that and the ball squirt out and it kicked down another, 5, 6, 7 yards up the field, and there were nothing but 49ers. If he doesn't recover that, it's definitely a red jersey falling on that thing. 2 turnovers. They didn't get any in return because they dropped interceptions tonight. 2 of 5 in the red zone. You lose the game by 3 points. Missed field goal. And let me say something else. I've been telling anybody that will listen all season long, don't trust Anders Carlson. The guy stinks. I remember very vividly, me and Boss Man were watching the game together. And we're watching the game, and I tell him before first quarter, he goes out to kick an extra point. I said, man, watch this clown. He stinks. And my dad was like, yeah, whatever. He wasn't paying me no attention because, matter of fact, it was the Green Bay. No, that wasn't the game. I forgot what game it was, but I said, hey, watch this clown. He stinks. And I told him that like 3 or 4 times. And sure enough, did he not miss? He damn sure did, right? Later on in that game. And he said, man, you told me. You were right. His damn ass missed. And I said, I told you. I've been watching this dude all year. He missed. Actually, he's an equal opportunity offender. Close, long, extra points, don't matter. He'll miss them all. And he's got a leg, and he's talented. He comes from a kicking ass family. His brother's in the league. He's a damn good kicker. He struggled a little bit over the last year and a half or so, but we know he can be really good. Daniel over in Vegas, y'all know I got a soft spot for the young kickers. I'm not telling Green Bay to move on from him. You spent the pick on him. You got to push through this. But, boy, he's making it hard. You should not have lost this game in regulation. Boy, when your coach says every time he goes out to attempt to kick, I just pray. Well, damn, that's got to be the worst vote of confidence I've ever heard. Even if I feel that way, I wouldn't tell y'all ass that shit. No way will my kicker get that information from y'all on the broadcast. I'll tell the special teams coach, man, every time he go out there, I just pray. I don't trust his ass. I'm not going to tell the dudes calling the game that shit. Anyway, the Green Bay Packers have no one to blame but themselves for this loss. They had no business losing. They played a hell of a game and deserved to win the game based off of the things that they did from start to the final 6 minutes or so of the game. They put themselves in the position to win, and they just didn't make enough plays when they were there to be made. Even the opening possession, to march it down the field, only come away with 3. It sucks, but just setting the tone, getting those 3 points. I thought it was huge blocking that field goal before the half. One team sprinted to the locker room feeling good about the first half. The other team looked lethargic, head down, knowing they missed an opportunity. The Packers were right where they needed to be at half. I was so disappointed by the play call on the 4th and 1 that they went for. You've been killing them to that point of the game. That's the second possession, and the 49ers were reeling. It's 3-0 at that time. They can't stop you. You've moved it down the field on both possessions. You're getting to the edges with ease. You know what I would have loved to have seen there? Jordan Love under center. You bring in either, if you don't have a fullback, that's fine. Have a tight end come in the short motion as a guy that you fake it to, and then you pitch it out to Jones on the edge. They were soft on the edges tonight, were the 49ers defensively. Anything that looked like it was coming up the middle and then out to the edges, you would have had them. They were soft on the edges. You made a living and a killing getting out to the edges. Even the big run started outside and then he cut it back. Right? You were gashing them on the outside. I would have loved to see you get to the outside. That's where they're at their best, up the middle, being physical with that D-line, with that front, with those backers. I didn't love it. That was a massive stop, by the way, because again, you score a touchdown on that drive. You go up 10-0. You probably would have been able to hear a pin drop at Levi Stadium. They were all like the same thing that I said in the first game for the Ravens applied here with the 49ers. There was no pressure on Green Bay. Just like Houston, they weren't supposed to be here. They're the youngest team in the NFL. They were double-digit underdogs last week. No one gave them a chance this week. They weren't supposed to be here. They were just out playing. Young, dumb, hungry, and don't know no better. And the 49ers I just told you, Kyle Shanahan was coaching with immense pressure. And it felt like it early. And if you convert that 4th down and you score a touchdown, do you know how much pressure the 49ers would have had on them that next drive? By the way, I don't think they scored on that next drive. I'm not sure. They may have. I think they did score on the next drive because then you got the football back. You moved it right back down the field again. And for the 3rd time, you didn't get in the end zone. You had to settle for another 29-yard field goal, 2 29-yard field goals, and a turnover on downs. Your first 3 trips into the red zone in the game. You didn't punt for the first time in the game until the 4th quarter. I mean, understand how you were moving the football, especially in the first half. You should have been up by way more because you were dominating the first half of this game. Brock Purdy should have been picked off at least twice, but specifically once in the first half by Darnell Savage, and that would have been a pick 6. There were opportunities galore for you to win this football game. And the fact that you didn't seize them is why young teams generally don't win in this league, is because young teams don't take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. Case in point, 49ers, veteran team, ready to win a Super Bowl right now. Ball goes in the air. It's tipped. Dre Greenlaw pick. But I'm going to tell you what's even more impressive. Jordan Love throwing back across his body at the end of the game. Didn't need to do it. We'll talk about that here in a second. That's not an easy pick. And it's raining as hard as it's rained all night long. You think he was dropping that bitch at that time of the game? Hell no. You had infinite opportunities to catch football with guys that are supposed to have hands as DBs. Not a single pick for you. Dre Greenlaw, a linebacker, 5th round pick out of Arkansas, gets an opportunity twice, doesn't miss either one, including the game clincher where I'm saying, bro, get down. What are you doing? I'm old enough to remember Troy Brown taking the ball from the Chargers defender. And that's how Brady got to the Super Bowl again. I'm old enough to remember that. Get your ass down. Why are you still running with the football? Anyway, Jordan Love, solid on the night. He wasn't great. He didn't do anything to tarnish what he had done a week ago. He still held in high regard. He's still on that upward trajectory. We feel like he's one of those young up-and-coming quarterbacks that could potentially take over the NFC. I thought he made some plays tonight. I thought he did some really good things. There's a throw where he's rolling out to his left. Romeo Doubs stops at the sideline, and he throws a dime, and you go, Jordan, you. Boy, that young fella there is special. But I've talked about Jordan Love, and this is the shit that gets him into trouble, is Jordan is one of those guys. One, he doesn't like to run. He runs out of absolute necessity. It's like you have to put a gun to his head. Jordan, just take the 8-yard gain in front of you, bro. Right? Like on that interception he threw he didn't have to do that. Why are you throwing back across your body? Either you take the 5-6 yards in front of you, get out of bounds. If you can't make it out of bounds and you don't want to, risk having to use a timeout, fine, throw it away. What are we doing here, buddy? But that's the shit he'll do. And I don't know if that's one of those things that he'll grow out of. That's who he's been going all the way back to Utah State. He'll rifle that bitch across his body. And look, that's just a part of who he is. He's got that Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen shit in him, which makes him great, but it also makes him vulnerable to these types of mistakes. And you can't have it. And this is what I'm talking about, young teams, right? A veteran quarterback knows not to do that bullshit. It ain't like his dude was wide open. The two closest dudes to that football were 49ers. This guy wasn't even close. So you ask yourself, like, bro, like he threw back across his, like, because we couldn't see. You're at home, you're watching the TV copy. They got the tight shot on the quarterback. So you don't know who he's throwing it to. You can't see what's down the field. So when you're at home and you see a quarterback do some bullish shit like that, you're thinking, oh, his guy's got to be wide open. There's no way with the game on the line, he's going to do some stupid shit, right? No ways. So his guy's got to be, like, they're going to cut to the other side of the field that he's throwing a football, and Romeo Doubs is going to be all wide open with 5 yards of separation in every direction. Another 49er has fallen down in the secondary, like they've been falling down all night, right? No, Dre Greenlaw is running towards the football. The safety's coming from the opposite direction. He's closing in on the ball. If Greenlaw doesn't get it, the safety might have a chance at it. I tell you who wasn't going to catch that ball, the Green Bay Packer receiver. Like, Jordan, what are you doing, bro? You had 2 timeouts, plenty of time still left. Like, you just needed a field goal. You didn't need a touchdown. Why? 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 Why are we doing that, bro? Because he's young, he's dumb, and he don't know no better. That's why. As you get older, like if it's 4th down or it's 3rd down, y'all don't have no more timeouts, and you're running. Okay, I get it. I understand. I get it. You had 2 timeouts. You just needed a field goal. There was no reason for that. None whatsoever. You just gotten the 1st down, I think, with Tucker Kraft, like a play or 2 before. Like there was no reason for that. But all in all, offensively, you couldn't have scripted it any better. The rain helped, obviously, made it a slick, wet, nasty night. But you ran the football effectively. It never was a situation where Jordan Love had to go out and win it for you. You stayed balanced for much of the night. You didn't punt until the late stages of the 4th quarter for the very first time. You moved the football with regularity. You dominated time of possession in the first half. I wonder if they dominated time of possession for the entire game. Didn't feel like they had it as much in the second half, but they dominated time of possession in the first half. No, it ended up being even by game's end. But the first half? Are you kidding me? You had the football pretty much the entire first half, and you had nothing to show for it. And so it was really disappointing seeing how you did all of that work in the first half, and here it is. The score is 7-6 at halftime. Really, really disappointing stuff. But even in saying that, you got to stop before half with the blocked field goal. You got to stop after the half. So all of this, being made about Kyle Shanahan, winning the toss and deferring, because that's what coaches in the league do. Like, why are we making a big deal out of what everybody? Green Bay won the toss last week. They wanted to go punch a front runner in the mouth. They did that, and you saw the results. These 49ers are way more mentally tough than the Dallas Cowboys. So one touchdown at the beginning of the game ain't going to send these dudes spiraling into a tizzy and having the head coach have to go talk to the star receiver like his mom just passed away, right? They're way more mentally tough than last week. So why are we talking about this? So it was fun to see the Packers stop them before the half and then stop them after the half. Why are we talking about this and making such a big deal out of it? They got 0 points before or after halftime. You took the lead 13-7. You gave it right back, and then you went back and you took it back again. Big-ass kickoff return by Keyshawn Nixon, which is why he is an all-pro, because he's one of the best in the league at what he does. He fumbled. I can't state this enough. I know I've already said it. I'm going to say it again. Damn, that was a hell of a recovery by Eric Wilson. Do you know how hard it is to grab a football running full speed and it's wet and not have that thing squirt out as you hit the ground upon a contact? Unbelievable that he was able to. I just knew the 49ers were coming out of that pile of the football. There's no way he's going to recover that cleanly. He was the only white shirt amongst about 6 red ones. That's an unbelievable recovery. That's great hustle. Had they won the game, he deserved the game ball. You scored a touchdown. You get the 2-point conversion. You're right where you want to be. And where I thought the game was lost was you had a chance up 4, 21-17, to put the dagger in their heart. You scored a touchdown on this drive and you drove it all the way down the field. And if you get in the end zone, it's over. Lights out, baby. And I thought Matt LaFleur got a little conservative. I think he went run, and then throw, and then they didn't get it. And they had to settle for the field goal. And of course, Anders Carlson misses. And a touchdown, the game's over. It's 6 minutes left. You score a touchdown, you go up 11, it's over. Stick a fork in them, they're done. But the field goal is supposed to ensure that you don't lose this game in regulation. And he misses. And that to me was the ball game right there. Can't miss that kick. Can't miss that kick. You'd love your defense to not give up a touchdown on that next drive, right? Stand tall. You've been doing it all game long. Do it one more time. But that's not the way this works. It's not how any of this works. When you get these opportunities in the postseason against good teams, you have got to take advantage. And unlike last week, Green Bay did not take advantage of the opportunities that were presented to them. And unfortunately, it's what cost them the game. Hell of a performance, though. Again, I feel like the Packers are a year early. Like they arrived to the party a year sooner than anybody expected. Nobody had this Packers team making the playoffs. Damn sure didn't have them advancing to the divisional round and coming within a minute of potentially moving on to the NFC Championship game. I didn't love the clock management by Matt LaFleur at the end of the game. I did not love it. But ultimately, with McCaffrey scoring when he did, you still had 3 timeouts and a minute left. So it was plenty of time to get in the field goal range. But I'm not thinking field goal in that situation. I'm thinking touchdown. You should have already been using because honestly, timeouts are great, but the time is more valuable. You can manipulate the time. You want those timeouts. That's awesome, being able to stop the clock like that, but you can manipulate time. You can't get it back once it's gone, though. And the amount of time that was wasted, that you allowed San Francisco to waste, maybe made Jordan Love feel like he needed to do something superhuman. Maybe if there's 2 minutes, or maybe if there's 1 minute and 48 seconds left when McCaffrey scores that touchdown, had you used your timeouts the way you should have, maybe Jordan Love with 1 timeout and 1 minute 48 seconds doesn't feel the need to roll out to his right and throw back across his body to the left. He probably would have done the shit anyway, because that's what Jordan Love does. But maybe he doesn't feel the need to do that. I don't know. But hell of an effort by the Packers. You hate to see your season end in that fashion with a missed field goal, dropped interceptions, bad play by your quarterback who had played well up until that point, and missed opportunities left and right. You drew penalties. You forced the 49ers to make mistakes. Ambry Thomas, 2 big penalties, led to 10 points. Like, you did everything you needed to do except execute in the red zone, and you turned it over twice, and you didn't get any back in return, and you had opportunities to pick Brock Purdy off. So, again, missed opportunities. Anyway, I digress. That was a fun one. Enjoyed that one thoroughly. Shanahan lives to fight another day, and I know he had some anxious moments on that sideline. That wasn't I didn't see an excited coach. I saw a sigh of relief. I saw a guy that exhaled because they were supposed to win that game, and they almost didn't. And he knows what that would have meant. To hell with winning the Super Bowl. Obviously, that's at the forefront of his mind. But he also knows a loss would have been debilitating. It would have turned into sort of like how we view Dallas now. Like, I don't give a shit what you do in the regular season. Don't care. So sort of like how we felt about Aaron Rodgers. Bro, you're supposed to be this great quarterback. Like, the narrative switched on Aaron towards the end of his Green Bay career, did it not? After they lost to Brady in that 2020 NFC Championship game, did the narrative not switch on Aaron Rodgers like that? You lose enough in the NFC Championship game, and people start looking at you, and Rodgers has a Super Bowl, right? At least he has that to fall back on. Kyle don't. We got the choke job for a lot of people. I still don't think it was a choke job, but he did help piss that one away in the 28-3 loss, the 28-3 game against New England in the Super Bowl. But that wasn't all on him, but he didn't do what he needed to do down the stretch either. But there's that. Obviously, there's the 20-10 in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, right? And there's all the losses. The Rams lost in the NFC Championship. Obviously, last year you give him a pass. Brock Purdy's elbow, all of that good stuff, being down to your, emergency quarterback. And look, it's well documented. Lose this one, though, in the divisional round, this would have started to feel, you would have been heading into that Aaron Rodgers territory, that Dallas Cowboys territory. I don't give a shit what you do in the regular season. Don't even matter to us no more. Did you win the Super Bowl or not? That's where the shit is headed. You want to keep them at bay, those pitchfork and tortures at bay? Get the chip this year. Get it done. Almost didn't happen. It's close. But as a wise woman once told me, almost doesn't count. Almost doesn't count. So don't worry about it. He got it done. Let's get to the comment section and see what y'all talking about. Wilfredo Elias, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, NFL in good hands. It's our turn to get one of those. You need one in order to compete. You can't go anywhere without a quarterback. It's just not happening. It's not 1999. It's not 1987. You can't win a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer anymore at quarterback. That shit just ain't happening. The days of winning a Super Bowl with a guy like Brad Johnson managing the game, and not that Brad Johnson couldn't, deliver for you, but you got to have a dude at quarterback. I mean, just go look at the last 20 Super Bowl winners. Like, you don't even gotta play around with it. Just look at it's the same names over and over again, with one or two names of other Hall of Famers jumping in the mix. But it ain't too many, out of left field dudes. Like, Joe Flacco might be one of the few names on the list where you go, what about Joe Flacco? And I'm gonna just point to how many road playoff victories he's got and tell you, brother's got ice water in his veins. When the game's on the line, Joe's one of those dudes that's just different. It don't look good for 58 minutes, but if you give it to him with 2 minutes left and no timeouts, you're in trouble. You want to win something, you better go get you one of them things. You don't have one, it ain't going to happen for you. Niners fan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Niners fan writes, had 50. First of all, congratulations. Moving on. I feel like this felt like the NFC Championship game, even though the Packers don't warrant that type of feeling, right? I don't think either of the teams in the game that'll be played tomorrow are capable of beating you. That said, the Lions are very good, and if you don't play better than you played tonight, they can get you. But I don't feel like the Lions nor the Bucs can beat you. I feel like you are in the Super Bowl now, but we'll see. Deebo Samuel's health is vital. So it didn't look good, him coming out in civvies. Don't know the extent of the injury, but it didn't look good. Doesn't look good, but it says had 50 heart attacks in this game. No more Kyle never winning a game trailing in the fourth shit. Glad that's over. I didn't know that stat until they brought it up tonight. That was a nasty one. Whew, that was nasty. My quarterback's legacy was on the line and he delivered. Facts. Facts. Because you know people were waiting to pull out the Cam Newton, and Cam himself was waiting. Cam, you don't think for 1 second Cam wasn't waiting, because soon as Tua got eliminated, heard from Cameron Newton. Soon as that got eliminated, heard from Cameron Newton. And all the people that backed him and thought, hey, man, y'all on Cam ass for no reason, he telling the truth. All those Cam Newton truthers were out there banging the pavement for him too. And I had somebody tweet at me, say, hey, Dak's down, Tua's down. He's making a beeline in San Francisco as we speak and making a sharp left. I said, well, damn. They're coming after you, Brock. Be ready. As a wise man once said to me, son, be ready. And when the moment was there, he was ready. Good for him. Because if he wasn't ready, them 4,200 yards, all those 49 of passing records he set this year, all that shit would have been for naught. They would have drug his ass. When I'm talking about they would have drug him, they would have drug him so damn bad, his season wouldn't have even been recognizable. We would have forgot he threw for over 4,000 yards, set a 49ers record. We would have forgot the amount of touchdown passes and the completion percentage and this, that, and the third, all 49ers records. We would have forgot about all that shit because they would have drug his ass. But like I said with Kyle, doesn't matter now. Now does it? He took care of business when it had, and this is the difference, Niners fan. Because if Jimmy Garoppolo was your quarterback, you know why you were 0-30? Because Jimmy Garoppolo was your quarterback. And you know what you would have been coming here talking about? You would have been talking about Kyle's ass. And you would have said, Jimmy G is so ass. He's trying. I can't wait till we get. That's what you would have been saying. But now you got you a real quarterback. Like, I'm a Brock believer. I don't think he's a game manager. I think he's more than that. I've been adamant when Cam made the statement. I said, I don't know about that. I don't agree with that with Brock. Maybe Dak and Tua for sure. Like, yeah, nah, I'm not buying that one, bro. Brock extends. Brock makes shit happen. But, he needed that drive. Like, we need air to breathe. He needed that drive, and boy, did he deliver. Big time. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Love went out like Favre. That he did. Absolutely. That was some old Brett Favre gunslinger bullshit. Like, again, that shit was cool back when John Madden was calling games in the mid-90s. That shit ain't cool no more to be doing that gunslinger shit. Like, fans ain't going for that. You know how many Brett Favre left the NFL, and I think he still is, and I don't know if anybody will ever break his record, because you won't be allowed to throw that many interceptions and people just laugh it off and say, oh, that's just Brett Favre being Brett Favre. What a gunslinger. He's so much fun to watch. They're going to run your monkey ass out of town. You having 3 and 4 interception games. That shit, ain't nobody standing for that shit no more. You can't do that. People value the football too much now. Back in the days, people didn't value the football the way they do now. You could turn it over and nobody cared. Because people didn't associate winning, turnovers with losing. Nobody associated, because you could still win games because both teams didn't value the football. Neither one gave a shit. Now, coaches value the football. You turn it over, we're going to make you pay for that shit. Even if we got to go with a conservative approach. Let you self-destruct. You got to cut that shit out, man. Not with the game on the line, with you having 2 timeouts and just needing a field goal. You can't do that, man. That was a bad way to go out. Junior Nando, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Junior writes, hell of a game. Proud of my team. House money. Yeah. Jay is greater than 3. I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't know if that was supposed to be 13. But you were playing with house money. You should be proud of your team. And you almost did the unthinkable and the improbable. You shouldn't be disappointed in the loss. You should be disappointed in how you lost. But that comes with the territory of rooting for a young team. I told you, there's nothing like rooting for a young team because just like you said, you're playing with house money. You got to the party a year early. Nobody thought you was going to be here. But I told you in that same breath, me being a Braves fan, me being a Grizzlies fan, watching young teams grow of age right in front of my face, I know that there are growing pains that come along with watching young teams because they're going to do some stupid shit that's going to make you have gray hairs. They're going to do some dumb shit. And that Jordan Love pick at the end of the game can't happen. It just can't happen. Anders Carlson, your rookie kicker, missing that kick, can't happen. Not now, not never. Can't happen. But that's what young teams do, unfortunately. Unfortunately. You should be proud of your squad, though. You should be. Dave-O from the 757. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Dave-O from the 757. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, if Kyle doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, should he start getting questioned as a coach? There'll be questions. There'll be questions if he doesn't win the Super Bowl this year. I think there'll be less questions if he makes it to the Super Bowl. There'll be questions if he doesn't win. But where did his journey end is the question. If they would have lost this game, they would have been on his ass. Rightfully so. They would have been on his ass. Should they lose next week, no matter who the opponent is, they're going to be on his ass. Not as much as they would have been on his ass for losing to Green Bay, but they're going to be on his ass because you're the 1 seed. You're at home. You need to go to the Super Bowl. I already told y'all last week the Lions are going to the Super Bowl. This feels like Cincinnati Bengals circa 2021. That's what the shit feels like. The Lions do. They feel like a team of destiny. They won't win the Super Bowl, but Jared Goff is a story, all of that good stuff. I hope I'm wrong because I'm a Kyle Shanahan fan. So I hope I'm wrong. But I'm just telling you what it feels like. But anyway, if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he will be questioned. Absolutely. Because he's been given a ton of respect. Not given, he's earned a ton of respect in league circles amongst media types, players, and fans like myself who watch from afar. He's earned respect by, you know how hard it is to go. Like, I think people don't realize how hard it is to go to the championship game almost every single year. That shit is not easy. Okay? Because the Chiefs have done it 5 years in a row, because the Patriots did it like 11 years in a row, people think the shit is easy. It is not easy to go to the championship game. And I'll take it a step further. It's definitely not easy to do it when you don't have a future Hall of Famer quarterback. It's easy to do it. Easier. Not easy. It's easier to do it when you have Mahomes, when you have Tom Brady. This man has been doing it with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. He did it with Brock Purdy in his rookie season, who had only made 7 starts. prior to the NFC Championship game last year. Understand what he's been doing here. No excuses this year, though. Brock's got a full season under his belt, played at an MVP-like level. You got to win it or at least get to the Super Bowl this year, but you need to win it, to be honest with you. No excuses this year. Junior Nando, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, right now I feel like that scene from Fast and Furious when Paul lost the race to Vin, but Paul tells Vin, I almost had you. I think the Lions can beat the Niners. Well, I already told you last week that I thought the Lions were going to beat the Niners because I said they were going to the NFC Championship game or going to the Super Bowl. Now, on paper, they shouldn't beat the 49ers. And if I were a betting man, I wouldn't bet on that. I'm just telling you that this seems awfully familiar, what the Lions are doing right now. I've seen this movie before. Seen it. Know how it ends. That's why I made that statement, but we'll see. You almost had them, but again, almost doesn't count. Almost doesn't count. You almost had them. like I like to say, one of my favorite commercials is with the little dollar, with the lady trying to grab it. Oh, you got the dollar. Here it is. You can get it. Oh, you almost had it. You almost had it. Not quite. Not quite. Dave-O from the 757. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, well, would he look like Andy from his Philly days? Not quite, because I think Andy only got the one Super Bowl, and that was the TO year in 04 when they lost to the Patriots, or was that 03? I think it was 04. They beat the Rams, then they beat the Panthers, and then the Eagles, I think. Pretty sure that was the order. Might have been flip-flopped, and the Panthers were last. Whatever. He only went that one time with McNabb and T.O. in that group. So this would be Kyle's second if he makes it to the Super Bowl. If he doesn't, then yeah, you do get into that Andy Reid territory, because that was a knock on Andy, right? He couldn't win the Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm rooting for Kyle like hell to find a way to get it done, because he's a damn good coach. It would be trending in that direction, Davo. Derek B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Derek B writes, 99 trash, blocked by wide receiver twice, BS pressure, jag along for a ride. It's funny that you say that. I know you're not really, you on socials, but you're not on there heavy. Neither am I. I'm not going to sit here and act like I am either. But I only bring that up because I actually tweeted out after he got blocked by the receiver the second time. And look, it's not uncommon for a defensive end who doesn't realize he's about to be cracked down by a receiver to get blocked. But the best ones usually take that receiver and destroy him, push him back 3 yards into the backfield, and force that receiver or that running back or whomever gets the ball to cut it up the field faster than they want to, or bubble around them, and now here comes the help, right? When you just get sealed and you don't do anything, you don't push him up the field, you don't aggressively blow him up, nothing. When you just get sealed and that guy's able to just calmly run around that block like normal, like a pulling guard got you instead of a receiver that you probably outweigh by 70 pounds. That's crazy. Boza got blocked once by Dontavian Wicks, and then Chase got blocked twice by two different receivers. And I tweeted out after he got blocked the second time, because I was watching him. like a hawk. Because I wanted him to do something. Because I don't want, like, a lot of people think now that he's not on Washington, we want to see him fail. I can't speak for nobody else. I can only speak for me. I don't want to see him fail. It just didn't work here in Washington. But I would love to see him go on, have 14 and a half sacks, dominate, and be the Chase Young that we thought he could be as the number 2 overall pick. But what I'm starting to understand, and I've already felt this way for quite some time, but I at least thought he was Jadeveon Clowney. I tweeted out, Chase Young is basic as hell. I said, it's a damn shame too. Sad state of affairs. He's not even Jadeveon Clowney. I said, damn what you heard. We stole a 3rd round pick. Contrary to popular belief. That was the end of my tweet. Damn what you heard. We stole a 3rd round pick. Now, I'm adding this. Contrary to popular belief, there are a lot of fans out there that think, oh my God, and especially people that don't know, like fans of other fan bases who don't watch Washington Commanders football, who haven't watched Chase Young since his rookie season, who just think he's nice. How y'all give him away for a 3rd round pick? Damn, they got y'all ass. I'm like, shit. We stole. I don't know what the hell you talking about. We stole a damn 3rd round pick. And then people are like, well, why did you trade him? You're going to get a 3rd round pick? Because we won't get no compensatory 3rd round pick for his ass. Ain't nobody paying Chase Young no damn contract after this year. Get that shit through your damn skulls. He going to have to sign a 1-year prove-it deal next year. He about to turn into Jadeveon Clowney in terms of, you know, how his career is going to have to go. He better hope he's got the same type of longevity as Jadeveon Clowney. Because Clowney been having a steady diet of 1-2 year deals for as long as I can remember. I haven't seen a dude go back to the table and eat as many times as Jadeveon Clowney with solid to slightly above average results up until this year, that is, where he absolutely killed it for the Ravens. Happy for him too. And he's playing his ass off in Baltimore. And a Ravens fan said, hey, don't worry, we're going to get Chase in the offseason and we're going to shine him up and show you what he looked like for real. I'm like, okay, I hope you do that. I'm rooting for it. Because right now, he basic as hell. Basic. And I'm glad we got a 3rd rounder for him. Contrary to those who will try to tell you, who will try to lie to you and tell you that we got fleeced. Nah, we did the fleecing there, bro. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy JP writes, hey, what's going on, Lou? What's going on, JP? Good to see you as always. Likewise. Been a minute. The missus and I were away in Jamaica for our honeymoon, and we just got back today. So I didn't get a chance to see a ton of football. I hope you guys enjoyed your time, man. It's so many things that are much bigger than this thing we love that we call football. You out living life, and that's a beautiful thing, man. So I'm glad to hear that. Hope that honeymoon was fan-effing-tastic. You created so many memories that you'll be able to look back on fondly, you know, and laugh about, and hopefully you took a lot of pictures. You know, that's a lost art, taking pictures. Even if you take pictures, nobody gets them developed anymore. Everybody's got 1 million pictures in their phone. What happened to photo albums? Look, I'm off on a tangent. We could talk about that on the podcast. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Glad you had a great time and you're back safely. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section. We got about 10 minutes or so, roughly, that we can get to. Y'all know the rules and the routine, but just in case you don't, you want to have your comment read. Super chats are the best way to do it. Again, we got about 10 minutes left. So if you want to ensure your comment gets read, super chat is the best way to do that. Use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air, if it is pertinent. Now, we've had 1 million comments. So the likelihood is, I don't know if I'll be able to get to some of the early ones, but I'm going to try to get as early as I can, go all the way back to the beginning, as far back as it'll allow me to go. And we'll go from there. Hey, it's actually allowing me to go all the way to the back, so that's good. All right. All right, let's see what we got. Captain Flarbnard writes, Lou, I think you were right about Love, LOL. I already told you the dude is a baller. Now, I also told you he's going to do some crazy shit. He's going to do some crazy shit, but that's a part of the Jordan Love package, similar to Josh Allen. You just got to take that. It sucks. You hope he grows and learns from that experience tonight and doesn't repeat it in that type of situation. But that's part of who he is. You don't want to muzzle him and take away his aggressiveness, but you also want him to be smart, right? That's the same debate that they have in Buffalo when it pertains to Josh Allen. Metaphor writes, good work, Chase Young getting wasted on Jones' 50-yard run. He sucked all game. Yeah, and that's part of what prompted me to tweet out what I did. Like, it's funny. Niners fan, it didn't take him long to realize. And I told him after we traded him to him, he's like, man, thank you guys for Chase Young. I'm like, hey, I'm just telling you right now, you can't have your third round pick back. Even with a receipt, you can't return this item, bro. And he was like, I know what you're talking about. 2 weeks later, 2 games later, he was like, hey, man, I see what you're talking about with Chase Young. He's the basic dude. And ain't really shit to him. I knew you'd come back and tell me that. But he helped Nick Bosa, right? He did what he was supposed to do. Right? He did what he was supposed to do. So there's that. Zoe Life, No Life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, if Chase didn't skip combine, is he still the number 2 pick? I'm not sure. Maybe he is. I mean, his body of work in college kind of spoke for itself. But I think there were some numbers in there that would have been alarming, which is why he didn't work out at the combine. Because the best of the best, if you go to, I told you there are certain metrics that I look at. If you're looking for an elite pass rusher, there's certain numbers that you have to have because it tells you about your explosiveness, your change of direction, and your ability to bend, right? He doesn't have that. Couple that with the inability to use any types of technique or move. His move is a bull rush. If the bull rush don't work, he's not getting home. The only other move that he has is when he jumps inside quickly, and he rarely uses that. So you get 95% of the time with him bull rushing, that's what you get. He doesn't have enough speed. He's not explosive enough to just win off of pure speed. So it's the bull rush. And that's not effective enough. I think if he would have worked out, some of those numbers would have jumped out and bit some people and they would have had questions. I still think he would have gone second. But why chance it? Why put those numbers out there? There was no reason for him to. And so he didn't. Dave-O from the 757. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I remember telling my Uncle Sam was better than Love on Thanksgiving. About that. I don't think I ever went that far to try to tell somebody that Sam Howell was better than Jordan Love. But there was a time where I could see a pathway in which we could get to a destination and a conclusion that said Sam was better than Jordan Love. But we never got there. And now that's a moot point. We'll never get there. Anyway, I digress. Niners fan writes, Lou, I will worry about how bad we look later in the week. I'm just going to enjoy it now. That's the way it should be. Like, understand that there's a lot of work to be done. And if you don't clean up some of the errors that you saw tonight, you will get beat somewhere along the way. Even if it's not next week, you will lose to whomever comes out of the AFC playing like you did tonight. However, understand that it was one game. Shit happens. You much rather correct all of the mistakes with a win and move on than a loss and lament all the mistakes that were made and have to wait again until next year to try to do it again. So that's the way to go about it. Enjoy the win. Don't be upset right now. You could be like, if this were a regular season game, you could be upset right now. This is a postseason game, and this is now you go into the, like, you don't have time to be upset right now because your season was almost over. See, the regular season is another game next week, no matter what happens. So I can bitch, I can complain. You're one game away from the Super Bowl, my man. I don't give a shit how bad we look. We won. We're going on to the championship game. Holla at your boy. That's how it should be. Metaphor says, damn, I had Purdy to score for $500 in a win parlay, and he was so close. He had that scramble on that last drive. I wouldn't call that close. I mean, he got tackled at the 6, but yeah. I mean, one missed tackle there. Maybe he gets in. Who knows? But anyway. Let's see. Kevin, another Packers fan. I want to hear from Kevin. Sad way to end the season, but a good season nonetheless. Love will get better, and we stamped our mark as a contender next year. Not mad at Love either. He's a playmaker, and I'll live by it. Facts. You don't want him making that particular decision in that moment. You would like him to be more aware of the situation. We talk about this all the time, situational awareness. You would love him to have some of that right there. That said, to your point, that is who he is. And I don't, as a fan of a player who had his greatest strength stripped from him this year by them beating into his skull, throw it away, don't take a sack, you get rid of the football. You can't take a guy's superpower away from him and expect him to still be the same player. You got to let him, like Josh Allen, you got to let Josh Allen be Josh Allen. You got to let Patrick Mahomes be Patrick Mahomes. If you try to muzzle them, if you try to take away what makes them who they are, they're not the same player. Same thing with Jordan Love. Same thing with Jordan Love. I agree. Niners fan writes, hey, Lou, I've been listening to you, so you know what it is, but Chase Young is ass. Stop calling him Jadeveon Clowney. That's disrespectful to Jadeveon. Look, I tweeted that out during the game. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to stop doing that. And I came to that conclusion tonight. He's not even Jadeveon Clowney. So you don't have to chastise me any longer. I beat you to the punch. Go check the timestamp on my tweet. Okay? I said he's not even Jadeveon Clowney. That was a hard admission for me because being Jadeveon Clowney is a nice way of saying, bro, you weren't worth the number 2 overall pick. And now we can take it a step further and we can just, people can start using the B word on this man. That's a bitter pill for me to swallow, but that's the honest to God truth right now. Is he's a bust? He's a flat out bust. Niners fan, right? We found a way. Now we wait to see if Debo can be healthy. That's a big one there, buddy. That is a big one there because everything changes with Debo. When y'all handed that shit to Jawan Jennings to start the third quarter, I said, they in trouble. They just handed the ball to Jawan Jennings. That was supposed to be Debo Samuel. You couldn't have given You could have given that to Ray McLeod or something. Like, we gave that to Jawan Jennings. Whew, we in some trouble. We are in some deep, deep doo-doo. Niners fan says, we finally proved we could win a gritty, close, tough game. That's something that needed to be established, right? The 0-30, I think, speaks for itself. John Wynn writes, is Brock Purdy a Pro Bowler for next year? Well, he's going to have to prove it again, right? My thing is always prove it again. This was his first full season. I thought he did a great job last year coming in. Nobody knew what to expect. This year, there was film out on him. You know, the word was out. Now, let's see what he does. He had an excellent season. Do it again. I think he's going to do it again. I got no doubts about that in my mind. But we'll see, right? We'll see. Niners fan says, we looked like shit for most of this game, but we delivered when we needed it most. I wouldn't say I would say Brock Purdy looked like shit for most of the game. The defense wasn't great, but they buckled down when they needed to. They buckled down in the red zone. They got the 2 turnovers when they needed to. When you needed the defense the most, they showed up. They did what they needed to do. When you needed them in the red zone, they showed up. When you needed the turnovers and you needed the stops in the fourth quarter, they showed up. They were there when you needed them. I'd say it was just Brock Purdy who was ass for much of the game. But again, and I said this already, when you needed him too, he showed up as well. That's all that matters. Read this last one from Niners fan. We'll get out of here. Niners fan says, oh, yeah, CMC is special. Pound for pound, I believe he's the best player in the NFL. There's an argument that can be made. I think there is an argument that can be made that he is, in fact, the best player pound for pound. I don't watch, and I haven't watched in probably over a decade, the top 100 list. I guarantee he's going to be in the top 5 this year, though, when that list comes out. Pretty sure he'll be in the top 5. He's been that good this season. So, anyway, I digress. Congratulations once again to the San Francisco 49ers, much like the Baltimore Ravens earlier today as a number 1 seed coming off the bye. It was a slow start, but ultimately they figured out a way to win. Ravens won in blowout fashion, 34-10. Meanwhile, there's a vastly different story for the San Francisco 49ers, who had to survive and advance with a touchdown with a minute to go in the game to give them the lead. But nonetheless, they took that lead and they preserved it and won this game 24-21 to advance to the NFC Championship game, where they await the winner of tomorrow's Bucs-Lions contest. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I'd say that this game set the tone for what we expect tomorrow. I just need one of the 2 tomorrow to meet these expectations that were set by this game. Just need one of the 2 games. I really expect the Bucs to hang in there and make it a game against Detroit. I know the Chiefs and Bills it's gonna be a close game. I know that already. They don't blow each other out. Nobody does. So I know one of the games tomorrow is gonna be entertaining and close. Can I get both of them? Probably not, but we'll see. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll be back tomorrow like cook crack to do it all over again. Y'all know what it is. Take care. God bless, and good night. Congratulations to the San Francisco 49ers, and hell of a season for the Green Bay Packers. We probably will be seeing more of you in the future, similar to the Houston Texans. This is not the last time we'll see a young team with a really talented quarterback under center. Now we got to see what the Packers do with Jordan Love. Got to get a contract done, but we'll talk about that at a later date and time. 49ers get it done, 24-21. They're in the NFC Championship game. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.